Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Well, we'll spend this hour laughing with Jimmy Durante, the Aldrich Family, Bob Hope, and Groucho Marx. That's all ahead on this Thursday edition of Classic Radio Theater. This is the 11th day, the 9th day of November. I'll get it right in a moment, the 313th day of the year, and we have 52 days remaining till we get to 2024. The Great Boston Fire of 1872 on this date. Theodore Roosevelt, the first sitting president to make an official trip outside the country in 1906 to inspect progress on the Panama Canal. Albert Einstein was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physics on this date in 1921 for his work with the photoelectric effect. In 1960, Robert McNamara, named president of Ford Motor Company, the first non-Ford to serve in that post, he would quit a month later to join the newly elected John F. Kennedy administration. Neil Armstrong recorded a world record speed in a rocket plane on this date in 1961, flying 6,587 kilometers an hour in an X-15. Of course, Neil would fly much faster than that and further to the moon. Several U.S. states and Canada hit with a series of blackouts lasting up to 13 hours on this date in the Northeastern Blackout of 1965. Catholic worker member Robert Allen Laporte, protesting against the Vietnam War, set himself on fire in front of the UN building in 1965. In 1989, communist-controlled East Germany opened checkpoints in the Berlin Wall, allowing its citizens to freely travel to West Germany, and people began demolishing the Berlin Wall.
They're jumping the fence. 100, 150, 200, 300 East Berliners are climbing over the metal fence here, making their way towards the Berlin Wall, crying, "The wall is down, the wall is dead."
Reporter Gordon Ackerman. Mozilla Firefox 1.0 released on this date in 2004. It's became one of Microsoft Internet Explorer's biggest competitors. Of course, you now have Google and the browser that I use, which is Brave, that is based off the Chromium engine, but it's much more secure. Also in 2004, John Ashcroft, Don Evans resigned their posts as U.S. Attorney General and U.S. Secretary of Commerce, respectively. And in 2004, Halo 2, released by Microsoft. The science fiction action shooter smashed entertainment records, grossing $125 million on its opening day. That would be over $203 million today. $203 million. That's a lot of money. Let's see. Passing away on this date in history, Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain, poet, author Dylan Thomas, French President Charles de Gaulle, Attorney General John Mitchell, also the funny Art Carney, Ed Bradley from 60 Minutes, also passing away on this date in history. Among those born on this date, King Edward VII of the UK, Canadian actress Marie Dressler, Ed Wynn, Hedy Lamarr, Sargent Shriver, Spiro T. Agnew, the Vice President of the United States, until he was forced to resign because of stuff he did while he was the governor of, I forgot what state. Dorothy Dandridge, also born on this date in history. Poet Anne Sexton, also Creedence Clearwater Revival Tom Fogerty, and Carl Sagan, born on this date.
We live on a very insignificant world among many, which circles a humdrum star of the sun, which is one of 400 billion others that make up the Milky Way galaxy, which is one of 100 billion other galaxies that makes up the universe, which it is now beginning to look is one of an enormous number, perhaps an infinite number of other closed-off universes.
Billions and billions. Carl Sagan, born on this date in history. Let's see. Dr. Robbins on CSI. Robert David Hall, 76. Lou Ferrigno is 72. The very fun, delightful, and entertaining Chris Jericho is 53 years old today.
But you know what? I got a bone to pick. Yeah, I got a bone to pick with somebody else who everybody is calling the greatest of all time. Yeah, somebody who won a little game yesterday by the hair of his chinny chin. Yeah, someone who everybody's calling the GOAT. Well, you know what happens when you steal Chris Jericho's nickname? You know what happens when you call yourself the greatest of all time and you're not me? You know what happens? Tom Brady, you just made the list! Oh my gosh.
From a February 2017 edition of WWE's Monday Night Raw, Chris Jericho still entertaining fans to this date in All Elite Wrestling and still performing on a really good level considering he's 53 years of age and still beating himself up every night. Dr. McSteamy on Grey's Anatomy, Eric Dane, 51. Pop singer Nick Lachey is 50. His wife, Vanessa Lachey, former Miss Teen USA from NCS Hawaii, a Filipina-American. Vanessa Lachey is 43 today. 7-year difference in age to the day. And it doesn't really matter. From Drew Hill, Cisco is 45. From the 2007 Hairspray, Nikki Blonsky is 35, and he wrestles on WWE as Butch. The very wonderful performer Pete Dunne, he is 30 years old today. Those just a few of the people celebrating the 9th day of November as their birthday. If this is your birthday,
hi, we're the 4 freshmen, and we just want to say happy birthday to you.
We'll start off with a 1945 edition of the Jimmy Durante Show from 77 years ago, November 9th, 1945. Jimmy is Superduperman. Or will we see? Garry Moore's going to talk about it. Garry Moore and Jimmy Durante in this episode of the Jimmy Durante Show here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
There are people in most countries who would like to live in the Republic of the United States or the Dominion of Canada where that good Olga coal is sold. The citizens of our free countries are the envy of many people elsewhere because of the personal freedom which we have enjoyed. Why then doesn't every country adopt a form of free government? One answer is that unfortunately there are people and parties in many nations who are so greedy for power that they will sacrifice the freedom of their fellow countrymen to obtain power for themselves. History, even recent history, is replete with such instances. That is why the citizens of the Republic of the United States and the Dominion of Canada must be careful to recognize at its very beginning any movement to steal or limit their freedom. That is not always easy. The man who would enslave a free people doesn't begin by saying, "Now I'm going to be your dictator." Instead, he probably will claim that he is a devoted supporter of personal freedom. But all the while he will support policies that weaken and undermine personal freedom. Such a man will deny any totalitarian aims. But free citizens must not be deceived by such denials. Apparently, it is a cardinal principle of every sincere totalitarian that he is justified in lying, if such lies will advance his plans. In these times, no public figure and no party or organization supporting such a person can be accepted without careful consideration. Every public figure and organization must be carefully scrutinized. And if their real aims are to limit or to destroy our freedom as individuals, they must be opposed and defeated.
And this is why we continue to fight to this very day. That's part of what our hosts talk about on our radio stations. You are listening, by the way, to the Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox podcast. We're going to go back 77 years, November 9th, 1945, an episode of the Jimmy Durante Show with Garry Moore.
Garry Moore speaking.
Hello, Junior. This is Jimmy.
Jimmy Durante, where are you?
I'm at a lady doctor's office in Junior. I'll be a little late because I'm the victim of an advanced fracture.
An advanced fracture? How did that happen?
I made an advance and she fractured me.
Jimmy Durante and Garry Moore
In person.
Yes, Jimmy Durante, Garry Moore, Jerry Sullivan, Roy Borgy and his orchestra, and yours truly, Howard Petrie.
Ladies and gentlemen, when an actor gets really famous, we always call them by their first names. You all know who I mean when I say Bing, Lana, and Frankie. And with that thought in mind, here is our co-star, Mr. Moore.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Petrie. And good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Howard, I would like to have laughed at your introduction tonight. But getting on with the program, excuse me. Come in.
Hello, Mr. Moore. My name is Aardvark Jockeys.
Well, don't worry about it. It probably happened when you were very young. What brings you to my door tonight?
Well, Mr. Moore, you're a celebrity and you need protection. I want you to hire me as your bodyguard.
Oh, brother. Well, thank you, but I need somebody bigger and stronger. Like Margaret O'Brien.
Listen, Mr. Moore, don't laugh. I've got a gun.
A gun? Well, where is it?
Help me lift it out of my pocket.
Look, that thing there is a water pistol. Why don't you get yourself a real gun with bullets in it?
Oh, no, I couldn't do that.
Why not?
Oh, that makes noise.
Yes, I guess it does. I'm sorry, though. I just can't picture you as a bodyguard. Now, what if I were to walk out of the studio and a big thug came up to me? What could you do?
Well, I'd step between you. Then the guy would hit me in the head, knock me down, stab me a little, shoot me some, drag me through the streets, and then run over me with an automobile.
And that is your life's work?
Oh, I don't mind. I got old clothes on. And look, Mr. Moore.
Yeah?
Just to prove how strong I am, grab my hand and see if you can throw me.
Well, I don't want to hurt you, but if you insist, here we go. Now, you see there? Pick me up. And now that I'm back on my feet again, here he is, the one and only Jimmy Durante, in person.
You've got to start off each day with a song.
I'll sing it, Jimmy Moore.
Now, even when things go better, you even look better. Ladies and gentlemen, for my next number, I'm going to sing that old-time song hit, My Honey's Lovin' Arms. My honey's loving arms. My honey's loving arms.
Is that all? It's a very short version.
My honey's got very short arms. Durante, you mad fool, you.
Jim, I certainly hope you sing better than that in your new picture, Two Sisters from Boston.
Ah, yes, Two Sisters from Boston. What a picture. Never too busy to advertise. No. But, Junior, it might interest you to know that Louis B. Mayer of MGM called me this morning and made me a producer.
Oh, really, Jim? What did he say?
He said, Durante, in your next picture, either you produce or else.
Yeah. Jimmy, is that authentic?
Authentic? Sure, and some of it's even true. What a picture I'll make. I can see the billboards now, directed by so-and-so, written by so-and-so, music by so-and-so, and starring so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so.
And I suppose your name will come first?
Of course, I'm the biggest so-and-so of them all. I say that with tongue and sandwich and mustard towards none. Junior, wait till you see the parts I'm going to give myself. Drama, nothing but drama.
But, Jimmy, to be a great dramatic actor, you've got to know suffering and hardship.
Then I'll do what Bing Crosby does. Before he made Going My Way, he stood out on a Lincoln highway for 2 days and hitchhiked.
Well, where's the hardship in that?
Junior, with 4 kids, it's a long way between service stations.
I see your point. But, Jim, maybe you could play a romantic part at that. After all, out at MGM, you're just as handsome as the next guy.
I am, Junior?
Sure. Providing the next guy is Wallace Beery.
Mr. Moore, please remember the old saying. He who makes the goat of Durante in the beginning gets buttered in the end.
I should have known. But, Jim, there's one thing that's obvious. That now that you're a producer, you'll just have to get yourself a secretary.
I'd do that, Junior, if I could just find a secretary with legs like Betty Grable, a figure like Ann Sheridan, a face like Hedy Lamarr.
Oh, that's silly. Why do you want a girl like that for?
There comes a time in every man's life when the Lone Ranger don't mean a thing.
Well, personally, Jim, I say... oh, excuse me again. Come in.
Oh, pardon, senor. Are you the Jimmy Durante who was advertised for the secretary?
I should have advertised months ago.
Senor, you think maybe I get the secretary job, see?
See.
We get along together fine, see?
See.
You like me, see?
Yeah, and the more I see, the more I like. I love that kind of carriage on.
Oh, thank you, senor. I will come to work in the morning. You are so kind, so good. I could throw my arms around you and kiss you.
What do you know? This kid's in line for a raise already.
Oh, senor, it is nice to speak to American men. They have such charming personalities.
And how?
And the American boys have such large shoulders.
Thank you.
The Americans are so handsome.
Thanks.
What country are you from?
There's a bus leaving for Barcelona. You may consider yourself a passenger. And I hope you get a seat over the wheels.
Well, adios, senor. Hasta mañana. Hasta la vista.
And lots of bananas to your sister, too. Oh, it's a shame, Junior. That girl is crazy about me.
Don't be too sure. I'm afraid the lady may resent the vociferousness of your amatory advances.
Why, that's impossible. We didn't even talk salary. I'll answer it, Junior. I need the exercise. Hello, Umbriago? What's that? Can I get you a date for tonight? Sure, I've got just the girl for you, Dolores. Call Hollywood 5131. If a man answers, that's Dolores. She's a lady baritone. No trouble at all. Goodbye. What a character, Junior. That's my favorite place in it. Umbriaco. When he got to Paris, he got all the women. Now, Umbriaco. On the boulevards, that fellow was a demon. Such a system. When he met a lady, she could not resist him. First, he'd kiss one cheek, then kiss the other cheek, then kiss the other cheek. Each kiss took a week. What a week to that freak, Umbriaco!
It's time now for Roy Bargy and the orchestra playing Carnival.
Boggy and his Hollywood marriage orchestra. They start together, but they never end up together. But now it's time for me to turn you over to the Culture Corner and Mr. Garry Moore. Meanwhile, I shall listen on my midget radio, and will ask the midget to listen too.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Sure. And you know, friends, like lots of other people, I am an ardent follower of the comic strips. But my favorite comic strip characters are the Wonder Boys, like Superman, the Batman, Mandrake, and Buck Rogers. And tonight, we present an evening at home with the greatest of them all, Superduperman! Superduperman, man of the future. He moves mountains. He picks up locomotives. He catches airplanes with his bare hands. Listen. Butterfingers. It is now 5:30 in the home of Superduperman. Mrs. Superduperman and their little son, Stuperman, are in their super kitchen preparing supper. Supper. Soup for supper. Little Stuperman speaks.
Gee, Mom, I wish Pop would come home. I wonder what amazingly, astoundingly, supernaturally exciting things he did today.
The last time I saw him, he had the Rocky Mountains tucked under his arm. He was going to drop them on Idaho.
What for?
He's just crazy about mashed potatoes.
Boy, is he corny.
Sonny boy, listen.
Is it a man? Is it a bird? Is it a plane?
No, it's your old man. Quick, Sonny. Run to the front hall. Open the door. Open the door. Open the door!
Why can't you leave that front door open?
Well, Mr. Superduperman, I can't watch for you every second. I was out in the kitchen washing your tights.
Washing my tights, and that's another thing. You've got to stop putting starch in my tights. How do you think I feel when I'm flying through the air and Mandrake says, "There goes Superduperman, stiff again"? Now pull up my easy chair. I'm going to sit down and rest.
If you're going to sit down, you face the other wall. I know all about the blonde who moved in next door.
Well, what about it?
You and your X-ray eyes.
Say, Pop, look what Buck Rogers gave me to play with today. It's a disintegrator gun.
Disintegrator gun? Sonny, you don't think that thing really works? That's a lot of comic strip talk.
Certainly, Sonny. It's perfectly harmless. Shoot it at something and see.
Certainly. Shoot it at your mother.
Okay.
Don't just stand there, Sonny. Sweep your mother under the rug. That's the boy. Now, what amazingly, astoundingly, supernaturally exciting things would you like to hear about?
Gee, Pop, I don't know just how to say this, but you know what Batman said about you?
Batman? What did he say?
Pop, Batman said you were a bum.
A bum? Why, that overgrown boomer girl. I'll fix him right now. Where does Batman hang out?
He hangs out on top of the Empire State Building in New York.
That's 3,000 miles away. It'll take me just 5 seconds to get there. Hand me my tights, son.
Here they are, Pop.
Hand me my cape, son.
Here it is, Pop.
Now stand back. Up, and away! Why can't you leave that window open? Well, I got 2 seconds left. I'm off again.
Ladies and gentlemen, we take you now to the top of the Empire State Building in New York. Where poised on the topmost ledge, Superduperman and his hated rival Batman are locked in deadly conflict. Superduperman speaks.
All right, now, Batman, let me see you jump.
Nothing doing. You jump first.
No, you jump first.
No, you 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 first.
All right, then I will jump first.
Egad! Superduperman, jump!
Yes. There ain't nobody can beat me playing checkers. From the trials of Superduperman, we shift our attention to a super-duper gal, Jerry Sullivan. Hiya, Jerry. What's new?
Oh, there's a lot that's new, Gary, but tonight I'm reviving an old love of mine that I'm sure you must remember. It's called Honey.
Jerry Sullivan.
I'm
in love with you, honey. Say you love me too, honey. No one else will do, honey. Seems funny, but it's true. Loved you from the start, honey. Bless your little heart, honey. Every day would be so sunny, honey, with you. Every day would be so sunny, honey, honey, darling, with you. I'm in love with you, honey. Say you love me too, honey. No one else will do, honey. It seems so funny, but it's true. Loved you from the start, honey. Bless your little heart, honey. Every day would be so sunny, honey, honey, when I'm with you.
Well, Volkswagen Bustle Club presents a rip-roaring drama of the old Wild West, entitled
Durante and Moore Find a Skunk on the Range, or Smellbound. Jimmy, you've spent a little time on the range, haven't you?
Indubitably, partner. Why, in my youth, I handled all kinds of cattle. I was a genius with the calves, a demon with the bulls, and an expert with the cows.
How are you with the steers?
The steers are all right, but I have trouble backing up.
Well, let's hit the trail then, partner. We're off to the Gopher Gulch Saloon.
Okay, I'll be there with bells on. I may sell a few good humors on the way.
Quiet, hombres, quiet! Quiet! Comes time now for a little entertainment. The management has gone to great expense to bring you the Gopher Gulch Trio. These three boys are going to sing one of the greatest... These two boys are going to sing one of the greatest... This here fella is going to sing one of the greatest... Everybody dance! Well, I wonder what's holding up my partner, Moose-Nose Durante.
Howdy, varmints. Make way for a rootin', tootin', shootin', rip, sortin', cravatin', Charles Lawton.
Moose-Nose, what's been a-keeping you? Where you been at?
Well, Cactus Head, I've been on the trail.
I'll thank you to stick to the script.
I love that line I ad-libbed. Cactus Head, I've been on the trail of Poison McGurk, the cattle rustler. This morning I jumped out of bed, put on my boots, my gun belt, my 10-gallon hat, and started after him. Halfway to his hideout, I had to turn back.
What for?
I forgot my pants. I wish the wind wasn't blowing from the south.
Come on, then. Come on, then, Moose-Nose. Let's us catch Poison McGurk and get that 10,000 reward.
Wait a minute. You can't ride through the brush without chaps. How come you ain't got no chaps?
I use talcum powder. Come on, partner. Come on, let's hit the trail. Yahoo!
Yahoo, wahoo, and a lasso a kazoo, too.
Moose-Nose, it sure is quiet out here on the range. As peaceful and quiet as a baby's smile.
Yep, the silence is so deep it almost puts you to sleep.
You know it's good for a man to be alone in the quietness? There's only one thing wrong with this range.
What's that?
Noisy goofers.
Oh, yeah. Partner, the thing we got to figure out is where Poison McGurk is going to strike next.
Oh, look. Look, Moose Nose, here comes an Indian. Maybe we can get directions from him. Hand me your cigarette and a saddle blanket, and I'll send him a smoke signal.
Okay, I'll dictate. Spell out H-E-L-P.
Okay, get my blanket. H-E-L... It's no use, Jimmy. It won't work with this cigarette.
Why not?
All it'll spell out is L-S-M-F-T.
Wait a minute. I'll call on him in his native tongue. Say, Chief, Tallahassee, Susquehanna, Ticonderoga, and Tuckahoe.
Tuckahoe, Ticonderoga, Susquehanna, Tallahassee.
It's a lie. It's a lie.
It's a lie? What did he say?
He said I talk like a man and I look like an anteater.
Wait a minute, you. You don't look like a real Indian to me. How come you don't stand with your arms folded across your chest?
Gotta hold 'em radio script. Tally-ho, paleface.
Partner, we must be close to Poison McGurk's hideout. I hope we can handle him when we find him.
Oh, don't fret yourself about that. I had a duel with a fella once. And before he could even tench his holster, I had my gun out, twirled it around my finger 30 times, then pulled the trigger.
Shucks a mercy. What happened?
Shot my toe clean off.
Very annoying catastrophe.
All right, you two hombres. Poison McGurk has got you covered.
Poison McGurk. Ladies and gentlemen, for my second number, I will sing My Honey's Loving Arms.
Wait a minute, Jimmy. You've gone all the way back to page 6.
I know, but it's safer back there.
Don't change the subject. This woman here is Poison McGurk. Poison McGurk is a woman.
Oh, that's the nicest thing anyone ever said to me.
I don't understand. How come you're a cattle rustler?
Oh, you got me wrong. I do nothing but herd cattle.
What was that?
I herd cattle.
That's funny. I ain't heard a thing. Oh, boy, I'm a head cowboy tonight.
Enough of this fiddle-faddle. Throw down your guns, Poison. You're a-coming with me, or I'll eat my shirt.
Oh, yeah?
Wait a minute, Junior.
What? What are you doing?
I'm spitting out my buttons. I was sitting at my piano the other day, but my mind was ill at ease. They were coming to take it away that afternoon. I was all by myself in a mellow mood, improvising symphonies. My right hand was playing Mozart's Minuet, and at the same time, my left hand was playing Have a Banana from Carmen. And at the same time, my mouth was whistling a sextet from Luigini's. And while all this was going on, what do you think my foot was doing? While keeping time, it was cracking walnuts. You see, I had to eat too. Then in the midst of all my soliloquy, a strange feeling came over me. Why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, I found it. I found it. The lost chord. The lost chord. Wait a minute, fellas. I found the chord. Go out and find your own chord. Opportunist. So let's celebrate. I'm feeling great. I'm the guy that found the lost chord. That's it. I'll have my name in the Hall of Fame, 'cause I went and found that lost chord. It hasn't changed. Everyone knows Tchaikovsky wasn't recognized for 200 years. Brahms wasn't recognized for 300 years. Beethoven wasn't recognized for 400 years. But I can't wait that long. I've only got 2 changes of clothes. So let's celebrate. I'm feeling great. I'm the guy that found the lost chord. You know, it wasn't easy finding that lost chord. Working in my attic, I didn't sleep for days and days. I'd have been in terrible shape if I hadn't slept nights. Ladies and gentlemen, how I struggled. I worked my brain to the bone. First I put an A flat with a B minor. Then I put a B minor with an F major. Then I put an F major with a B minor. Then I tried an A and a B and a B and a G and a G and an E and an E and a D and a B and a D and a B and a G and a D and a D. What a piano, no apostrophes. People said I was mad. But that didn't discourage me. They said Mozart was mad. They said Puccini was mad. They said Louis was mad. Who was Louis? My uncle. He was mad. Soon my efforts bore fruit and I found it. The lost chord. Music clubbers, do you realize what you're hearing? I'll play it again. What happened to it? That ain't the chord. Neither is that. And neither is that. And neither is that. I lost the chord, a catastrophe. Call out the cops. Call out the Marines. Call out the Air Corps. Call for Philip Morris. Well, the Morris, everybody wants to get into the act. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to sit down on the keyboard of this piano until the chord is returned. That's it, the lost chord. I found it. I found it by sitting on the piano keyboard. Very strange. I usually play by ear. So let's celebrate. I'm feeling great. I'm the guy that found the lost chord. Be with you when we're far away. Let me hear that high note, maestro. What a note.
A magnificent note, Mr. Durante.
A gigantic note, Mr. Moore.
And you know, Jimmy, it was lots of fun doing that cowboy sketch tonight.
Sure was, partner.
You know, next week I'd like to do something really dramatic. Something important, like the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
That would be swell, the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I'll be Notre.
And I'll be... No, I can't either.
Mr. Durante?
Good night, Mr. Moore.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mrs. Calabash.
An Armed Forces recording of the Jimmy Durante Show, the Jimmy Durante and Garry Moore Show, as it was broadcast 77 years ago, November 9th, 1945. The show at that time was sponsored by Rexall, but because it's an Armed Forces recording, we don't have the commercials in it. They remove them for overseas distribution, don't you know? The show previously, in fact, in the last season of the show, was sponsored by Camel Cigarettes. And then Camel went away in the summer of 1945, and then the 1945, 46, 47 editions of the Durante Moore Show were sponsored by Rexall. And then Camel came back in 1947 when Garry Moore was lured away to CBS to perform a radio and television show there on CBS. And you remember Garry Moore, probably remember him best, not for his daytime show and his primetime variety show. You probably best remember him as the MC of I've Got a Secret. So there you go, a little bit of news about that. Jimmy Durante and Garry Moore from 77 years ago here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Coming up next, the last Henry Aldrich.
Have you ever wondered what people abroad think of us? Many of them don't have a very high opinion of our country or our way of life. It's not because of anything we've done or haven't done. It's what they think we have or haven't done. Unfortunately, those thoughts were planted in their minds by books and other literature distributed in both free and Iron Curtain countries by the communists. This material has been deliberately slanted to create false impressions of America and Americans. But the people who read them are hungry for the truth. Somewhere on your bookshelves or in your attic, you must have books you're through with. By contributing them to Books from America, you can help send the truth about America to readers and students abroad. Particularly helpful are good standard American novels, up-to-date histories and geographies, as well as English grammars. If they're in good condition, with hard covers, pack them up and send them to Books from America, Box 1960, Washington 13, D.C. That address again is Books from America, Box 1960, Washington 13, D.C.
Interestingly enough, the Books from America program has pretty much disappeared. There is, however, a non-profit Books for America bookstore that is in Washington, D.C., and they deal in rare and antiquarian books for over 25 years, and they deal with donations. So there you go. Books for America. Anyway, let us get on to I mentioned the last Henry Aldrich, and the last Henry Aldrich on radio was Bobby Ellis, who you will hear today as Henry Aldrich in this episode of the Aldrich Family, as it was broadcast on this date back in 1952. That is November 9th, 1952, 71 years ago, and the story of the new suit.
Henry Aldrich! Coming, Mother!
Yes, it's the Aldrich Family as transcribed, written by Clifford Goldsmith. As every grown-up knows, a typical teenage boy never has to go looking for interesting problems to solve. The problems come looking for the boy. And you can be sure that a new and startling one pops up every day, especially for Henry Aldrich. The scene opens in the Aldrich living room. The time is evening.
Mother, could you look at it this way?
I'm sorry, Henry, but I don't want to discuss it anymore.
Mother, don't misunderstand me. I'm not trying to discuss it. I just want to ask you.
Henry, Mrs. Brown came over here to visit with me, not to listen to us argue about whether you should have a new suit.
Oh, excuse me, Mrs. Brown.
Oh, that's all right, Henry. It's nice to see you take an interest in clothes.
Sure. Mother, have you thought of it this way? You've got to buy me a new suit sometime. Why not get one tomorrow and let me get a little wear out of it?
Henry, I think it's time for you to go to bed.
Without a...
Henry?
Yes, Mother. Good night.
Good night, dear.
Good night, Mrs. Brown.
Good night, Henry.
I hope you'll pardon the way my bathrobe hangs in the back.
Yes, dear. Oh, Alice, I didn't want to say anything about it while Henry was here, but would you mind if I suggest something?
No, not at all.
But it's only because I know you don't want to buy anything that isn't absolutely necessary, but Homer has a new suit I think would fit Henry.
Really?
He put it on just once, and Alice, believe it or not, it's been hanging in the closet ever since.
My goodness, Elizabeth.
And it's a good suit, Alice. Homer's uncle sent it to him only the other day.
You don't say.
Yes, and he's an awfully good dresser. He sells things all over the country. And the suit, Alice, well, when you first see it, you might say, well...
Yes?
But when you stand off at a distance, dear, the checks, they're brown with a sort of orange stripe in the background. Well, the checks all seem to blend right in.
And Homer refused to wear it?
Yes, but he doesn't care a thing about clothes. You know how Homer is. Oh, sometimes I think he doesn't care about anything.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Oh, Alice, you just don't know. Why, I said to him, Homer, that suit will make people stop and look at you. And Alice, he acted just the way he does about broccoli and salad.
Mother!
Yes, Henry?
Did you know that the government expects a wool shortage before spring?
Dear, I want you to get right into bed.
Yes, Mother. Only don't you think we should take advice from our own government?
Good night, dear. Elizabeth, are you positive you wouldn't mind Henry having that suit?
Alice, I think it will teach Homer a lesson. And if you aren't doing anything now, why don't we walk over to my house and get the suit?
That's a wonderful idea. I'll put it on the chair beside Henry's bed in the morning and surprise him.
Good breakfast, Alice. Good breakfast.
Sam, you're not leaving for the office this early, are you?
Sorry, goodbye.
Goodbye, dear.
Tell Henry I'm sorry I didn't see him before he came down.
I will.
Mother!
Yes, Mary?
Where's Henry?
He'll be down in just a few minutes, dear. He's in the bathroom washing.
Oh.
And, Mary, while he's in there, I want you to take this up to his room so he doesn't see you and lay it on his chair.
This, Mother?
Yes, Mary. I just finished pressing it.
Oh, what are you going to do? Cover his chair with it?
What do you mean, cover his chair?
Well, isn't it a slip cover or something?
Now, Mary, that's a perfectly good suit.
Mother, you mean Henry has to wear that? Where did you get it?
Dear Mrs. Brown gave it to Henry, and the only reason you don't care for it is because it's folded, and you're standing too close to it.
But, Mother, you can see these checks a block away.
Now, dear, please take it upstairs.
Yes, Mother. I just hope Henry doesn't find out that I had anything to do with it.
And now, Mary?
Fine, Mrs. Aldrich. Is Henry ready for school?
Why, good morning, Homer. Aren't you just a bit early?
Boy, I'll say. I wanted to get out of the house before... I was afraid my mother might make me wear a... Good morning.
Well, Homer, I'm afraid it's going to be some time before Henry gets down, and... dear, you don't want to be late, do you?
Well, I don't mind waiting.
Oh.
Has he had his breakfast yet?
No, Homer.
Are you having hot cakes?
Mother!
Yes, Henry?
What's this thing up here?
What thing?
This thing on my chair.
Why, Henry, that's for you.
For me? This?
Yes, you asked for one, didn't you?
I asked for a rug?
Henry, if you'll unfold it, you'll see it is not a rug.
Well, what is it, Mrs. Aldrich?
Well, gee whiz.
Just put it on, dear.
Well, what's he got, Mrs. Aldrich? What's he got?
What's that, Homer?
Mother, I don't mean to criticize, but where did you get this?
Well, what is it, Mrs. Aldrich? What is it?
Homer, I'm sorry to be inhospitable, but Henry may have a lot on his mind when he comes down. Homer, you better be going. Now, goodbye.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, Mother.
Henry, aren't you in school yet?
I've got time, Mother. I just had a phone and to ask you something.
Dear, where are you?
I'm just 3 blocks down the street. And, Mother, here's what I want to ask you.
Well?
It's about this darn suit I'm wearing.
Now, Henry, I don't want to hear you speak that way about that suit again.
Well, I didn't mean to be disrespectful about it, Mother. Don't misunderstand me, only... You think this is really a school suit?
Henry, if you didn't wear it to school, where would you wear it?
Well, that's true.
Now, dear, just think back a minute. Remember how we both agreed it made you look much bigger and older?
Well...
And didn't even Mary tell you how nice you look in it?
Yes.
And there you are, dear.
But I remember only last week we all had to tell Mary we liked her dress, and boy...
Just a minute, Henry. Mary, please go away from here. Do you want Henry to hear you?
What's that?
Nothing, Henry. Mary was just saying something about a slipcover for a chair or something.
Oh, boy, Henry. Oh, boy. Hiya, Willie. Wait a minute. I'll walk down the corridor with you.
Where did you get it, Henry?
Nice morning, isn't it, Willie, old-timer?
Boy, pipe the new suit.
Hi, Toby.
Hey, Henry, take it off. We know who you are.
You going to history, Toby?
Don't get near me, Henry. You want to blind me?
That's what I say, Henry. Flashing a thing like that right in a guy's eye.
Wait, fellas. Who do you think's going to win the game Saturday?
Hey, Jimmy, look at Henry.
Hello, Henry.
Oh, hello, Lucy. You going to history?
My goodness.
What's the matter? What are you looking at me like that for?
My goodness. Turn around.
What for?
I want to see whether there's a belt in the back.
Now, listen, Lucy. This suit happens to be all wool.
I'll say. And a yard wide.
Hey, Lucy!
Homer, look!
At what? Well, gee whiz. Henry, is that... Now, listen, Henry, let me see that.
What's the matter, Homer?
Well, I'll be darned.
What?
Sure. That's what I thought the minute I saw it. That's my Uncle Oscar's.
What, Homer?
Well, sure it is. I could tell that suit a mile away.
You're crazy, Homer. My mother bought this suit for me.
Well, you're crazy yourself. Here he is, Charlie. Take a look at that suit.
Yeah, where are my dark glasses? The coat and pants are all one piece.
Listen, fellas, I want you to meet my Uncle Oscar. Hi, Oscar.
Hi, Oz.
Oh, Homer,
Henry, you're killing me.
Homer, I'm warning you. I've got just so much patience.
I suppose you think I'm making it up about my Uncle Oscar.
Sure you are.
All right, Henry, I'll prove it to you. Let me see the label.
Now, wait, Homer, keep your hands off me.
Go ahead, Homer. You want me to hold him for you?
Sure.
Now, Homer, I warn you, keep your hands off this.
Henry, is that you?
Hello, Eleanor.
Well, aren't you going to be late to history?
Wait. Late, Eleanor?
What are you getting red about, Oscar?
For the last time, fellas, let's cut this out and just all go to history.
You got any checkers with you, fellas? Lie down, Oscar, so we can play a game.
Is that so, Willie? Well, I'll have you understand this suit never belonged to Homer's uncle.
What does it say on the label, Homer? Here, I'll show you.
Stand back, Homer, stand back.
Why? Why should I?
Sure, go ahead, Homer. That's your uncle's suit, and you can do anything you want.
Sure I can. Sure I can.
For the last time, Homer, remember what I said.
Go ahead, Oscar, sock him.
Sure I will. And stop calling me Oscar.
You mustn't fight right here in school.
I'm not fighting, Eleanor. I'm just protecting myself.
Go ahead, Homer. Pile into him. I suppose you think I'm afraid to take another step.
Well, why don't you then?
Now listen, Willie, quit pushing me. He took another step, Henry. He took another step.
Well, that one doesn't count. But, Homer, if you take another, boy, will you?
Stand back, fellas, stand back and give him room.
Boys, I think you're both just awful. Are you really going to fight?
Lucy, I hope you don't think... I hope you don't... Has anybody got the time?
Yes, it's time for history.
It is?
Well, listen, Homer, it's a very good thing for you, it is.
And it's a very good thing for you, too, Henry. You mean you're gonna quit?
Hey, Toby, let's get the two of them together at 3 o'clock. Hey, that's an idea, right after the last period.
Today? You mean I gotta fight Homer at 3 o'clock?
That's right, Oscar.
Well, what for? I mean, I've got to fight Henry?
Sure, Homer.
Well, that's fine.
Sure, that's fine.
Elizabeth?
Yes, Will?
Was that Homer on the phone?
Yes, dear. He wanted me to get him out of school early this afternoon.
What for? I hope you didn't tell him you would.
Oh, no, Will, of course I didn't. But he literally begged me to make an appointment for him at the dentist.
Homer did?
Before the last period this afternoon.
That's the trouble with you, Elizabeth. You're just spoiling him. You let him have his own way about everything.
Will, I told him definitely he could not leave early, even if he does need some dental work done.
Oh, good. And what's more, Elizabeth, I think it's time we put our foot down and made him wear that suit that Oscar sent him.
Yes, dear, I agree with you. Only first, I think maybe I ought to tell you something.
Well?
Now, don't fly off the handle, Will, and don't hit the ceiling. Only
what?
I gave it to Henry Aldrich.
You did
now,
what?
Will Brown, Homer is your son, and he has your stubbornness, and I just couldn't go through life fighting both of you over one suit.
I know, Elizabeth, but suppose Oscar arrives and wants to see how it looks on Homer.
But, dear, we can't go over and ask Henry to return the suit, can we?
Why not? Which is more important, Henry or my brother Oscar, who makes $11,000 a year?
Look, Lucy. Look at what somebody put up on the bulletin board. Where, Eleanor? Right in front of you. That big poster. Today at 3 o'clock. The fight of the century. Oh, my goodness. Homer Brown versus Oscar the Flash. Oh, come on, Lucy. We'll be late for English. All right. Where's the fight going to be, Eleanor? I don't know. I certainly hope you aren't going. Well, I just hate fights. But I haven't anything else to do.
Hi, Lucy. You seen Homer anyplace?
No, I haven't, Toby.
You know what I told him I'd do for him?
What, Toby?
Be his second this afternoon.
His what?
His second. And Willie's going to be Henry's second.
You mean when Henry and Homer get tired of fighting, you and Willie are going to fight?
No, we tell him what to do, and then we give him water to drink.
My goodness, they're even going to drink water?
Hey, Toby.
Hi, Charlie.
The football team's getting up a petition for the coach to cancel practice this afternoon so they can all go see the fight.
My goodness, do you think I'd be making a mistake if I didn't see it?
Lucy, it's a grudge fight. Why, it's been building up for 3 years.
Oh, let's go into English.
Quiet, please. Quiet. Class will come to order.
Hello, Henry.
Hi, Eleanor.
Henry, what are you sitting way back here for?
Oh, I just decided to change my seat.
Quiet, please. Now, please turn to page 103. By the way, Henry Aldrich, may I ask why you're sitting way back there in the last row?
Why, I just happened to sit down here.
Would you mind standing up when you speak, please?
No, Miss Eggleston.
Oh, my goodness. Quiet, please, quiet. I don't see anything funny to laugh at. And, Henry, as long as you do not like your regular seat, suppose you come right down here and take this seat in the front row by me.
Now?
Yes, please. Quiet, quiet. Seems to me, Henry, you should have plenty to do without deliberately upsetting this entire class.
Yes, Miss Eggleston. You want me to sit here?
Well, as long as you're standing, I'll call on you first.
To read?
Please start with the first paragraph at the top of page 103.
Yes, Miss Eggleston. During the mauve decade at the end of the 19th century, there passed across the English literary scene a figure whose prominence derived not only from his writing, but from his elaborate taste in clothes. This man was Oscar
Oscar the Flash!
Gee whiz, Oscar Wilde!
Alice, I want you to come into the living room and meet a business friend of mine.
Sam, you mean you brought him home for lunch?
Now, Alice, he doesn't expect much. Just have something real nice. That's all he
But
does.
Sam... Mother! Yes, Mary, I'm in the dining room.
Mother, I was just downtown, and what do you think somebody told me?
I've got to go back to the kitchen and take off this apron.
Father, would you like to hear what I heard about Homer Brown?
Mary, there's a gentleman in the living room who's come to town, a rather important... Mary, you going to wear that dress for lunch?
Why, I'd planned to, Father.
Yeah? I suppose you run upstairs and see whether you can't.
You mean you want me to put on something a little nicer?
Yes, Mary.
Mother!
Henry, come here, please.
I'll ask Mother what I should put on.
Henry, where are you?
Right here in the hall. Is there something you want?
Yeah, I want you to come in and meet... Henry.
You know what, Father? I can't help it. Mother made me wear it.
That thing? Where did she...
That's what I'd like to know.
Turn around.
Father, who is it you want me to meet?
No one.
Henry, what are you doing home for lunch?
Well, Mother, I just thought I'd rather eat here.
Here, dear? Isn't this hot dog day in the school cafeteria?
Well, yes, Mother, and I like hot dogs, but frankly, I don't enjoy eating them in a place where everyone's there and sees...
Oh, my goodness.
Now listen, Mary.
But, Henry.
Mary, I thought you were going upstairs and change your dress.
I am, only you mean I have to change and you're going to let Henry...
Now, Mary?
Yes, Mother. Only first, did I tell you what I heard about Homer?
What about him?
He's going to be in a big fight with somebody.
He is?
Yes, Henry, with Oscar somebody. Who could that be?
With Oscar?
My goodness, the whole town's talking about it.
Henry, I think if Homer's going to turn out to be that kind of a boy, the less you have to do with him, the better.
You're sure, Mother? I don't like any of that crowd at school. That's why I thought I'd come home for lunch.
Henry, you're not going to eat here with us, are you?
Well, yes, Father, but not in this. I'm going to go upstairs and change first.
Henry, you can't possibly change. Your other suit is at the tailor's.
Well, Mother, at least I can go up and put on my corduroys.
No, dear, your corduroys are in the wash. Now turn around and show your father the shoulders. That's an excellent suit.
Yes.
And feel it, Sam.
Feel it?
Gee whiz, Father, be honest. Just now when you first saw this suit, you almost fainted.
Who, I?
Yeah, sure.
Sam.
Yeah, Henry, it's an excellent suit. I hadn't seen the back before.
But you really think it's worth fighting over?
I'm simply telling you it's handsome. Now go ahead and wear it.
Well, Mr. Aldrich, is this your family here in the hall?
Yes, Mr. Thomas, this is Mrs. Aldrich. Dear, this is Mr. Thomas.
How do you do?
And I'm sorry, but my daughter Mary's just stepped out.
Well, is that Henry I see right behind you?
Yes, this is Henry. He just came home to put on a costume for a school play he's in. Now he's got to rush right back.
What's that, Father?
Goodbye, Henry. Goodbye, and good luck. The Aldrich family has been family listening for a long time. But here at NBC, we have a number of families who bring you top comedy. Tonight, why not stay tuned for the Harris family? You'll find Phil, Alice, the two Harris girls, Brother William, and, of course, a half hour of real entertainment. Great stars of the screen will be featured next on NBC when Theatre Guild on the Air presents Rosalind Russell and Mel Ferrer in Lloyd Douglas's drama Magnificent Obsession. Action comes next with a duo of top adventure shows, Dragnet and Barry Craig, Confidential Investigator. And also this evening, Martha Roundtree and Lawrence Spivak bring you America's only public press conference, Meet the Press. So stay tuned to NBC for your top radio shows. Now getting back to the troubles of Henry Aldrich. Because Henry has had to wear a suit that formerly belonged to Homer Brown's Uncle Oscar, he's suffered more than his share from the gang at school. As a result, the students have scheduled an open fight at 3 o'clock this afternoon between Henry and Homer. The scene opens in the principal's office.
Come in.
Did you want to see me here in your office, Mr. Bradley?
Yes, Miss Eggleston. Sit down. I hope I didn't call you from any class.
No, Mr. Bradley.
Miss Eggleston, I happened to pass by your English class this morning, and frankly, it seemed to me I heard more disturbance than was really necessary.
Mr. Bradley, may I say something?
Yes, Miss Eggleston, just as soon as I am finished. A reasonable amount of laughter is quite in order in any class, but when the students sound as though they were rolling on the floor, I can only conclude that the teacher has lost all control.
Now, may I say something, Mr. Bradley?
Yes, Miss Eggleston, as soon as I have finished. As I passed by your partly open door, it seemed to me that in the midst of all this commotion, I saw you laughing.
But, Mr. Bradley, I'm only human.
Beg your pardon?
Oh, I'm sorry, but it would be impossible for me to describe what happened.
Now, come, Miss Eggleston, I can appreciate a joke just as much as anyone.
Oh, but, Mr. Bradley, I didn't mean to insinuate that you couldn't. I just meant...
Regardless of what you meant, that's certainly the way it sounded. And to be frank, I think it would be very wise if I visited your class tomorrow. Come in.
You sent for me, Mr. Bradley?
Yes, Willie, come in.
That will be all, Mr. Bradley?
That will be all. And tomorrow we'll all have a good laugh together.
Very well.
Now then, Willie.
Yes, Mr. Bradley?
Close the door, please.
Oh, yes, Mr. Bradley. Well, I had a talk with them, Mr. Bradley. I told them just exactly what you said. So there won't be a public fight on the school grounds this afternoon.
You made it quite clear, Willie?
Oh, yes, Mr. Bradley.
And the fight is off entirely?
Well, not entirely. That is, instead, we decided... they're going to have it on the vacant lot in back of... Well, it isn't going to be on the school grounds.
Willie, I understand you are one of the ringleaders in all this.
Who, I, Mr. Bradley? A ringleader? Oh, no. I'm just a second.
You're sure of that?
Oh, Mr. Bradley, if there's one thing I hate to see, it's two guys in a good fight.
Well, I suppose if they've got to get it out of their system... understand, Willie, I am emphatically against boys fighting. But if it's off the school grounds, I don't see how I can in any way interfere.
Yes, Mr. Bradley.
And that will be all.
Yes, Mr. Bradley.
Oh, Willie, just one moment.
Yes, Mr. Bradley.
Where did you say this fight is going to be held?
Why, I didn't say.
Yes, that will be all.
Hey, fellas, look what I've got for Homer. A pail and a sponge.
Oh, that's nothing. Look at what I got for Henry to suck on. A lemon. Who's going to keep time? I am, Willie, I am.
Where's Henry and Homer?
Oh, they'll be along. Henry said he'd get here as fast as he could. Boy, was he anxious to get into this.
Well, Homer was anxious, too. He said he wouldn't be late.
My goodness, Eleanor, isn't this exciting?
I think it's terrible, Lucy.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I can hardly wait.
What time is it, Homer?
It's, exactly 25 minutes after 3.
Is that right?
It's a pretty good soda, isn't it, Henry?
Boy, I'll say.
And don't misunderstand me. I'd be perfectly willing to go over to that lot and fight you, Henry, only Only...
Sure, I know what you mean. And I hope you don't think I wouldn't be willing to fight you, Homer. Gee whiz, I'd be willing to knock your block off for you. But as the fella at the soda fountain just told you, your father's been looking all over town for you.
Sure. And if he wants me to keep an appointment at the dentist or something, well, naturally, I can't disobey him.
Naturally. Hey, Homer, don't look toward the door now, but I think some of the gang just went by.
You think they're still looking for us?
Sure.
Let's have another soda.
I'll pay for this one.
Oh, no, Henry, you let me.
Well, you're crazy, Homer. I got a quarter right here.
Now, wait a minute. Oh, gee whiz, did I knock it out of your hand?
Well, that's all right, Homer. It's right down here on the floor someplace.
Oh, wait a second, Henry. You let me get it for you.
Well, I'm already under the table, Homer.
So am I.
Hey, fellas, here they are. Where, Charlie?
They're wrestling under the table.
Oh, gee whiz.
Listen, fellas, don't you realize the whole school is waiting for you over at the lot?
Who, us? Now, listen, Homer, will you stop twisting my ankle?
Henry, take your hands off my throat.
What are you yelling about, Lucy? They haven't even swung at each other yet.
They haven't. What are they doing then?
Open your eyes and you'll see.
Oh, my goodness. They're at least 6 feet away from each other.
Rush 'em, Henry, rush 'em.
Sure I will, sure I will.
Homer, what do you keep circling around him for?
I'm measuring them. Come on, let's have some action.
Yeah, that's what I say.
How can I hit him? Look at him keep backing away.
You're crazy. You're backing away yourself.
I am not. Oop.
What happened?
Hey, who tripped me?
Hey, help Henry up, somebody.
Because I'm all right. Now listen, Homer, stop running all around me like that.
Who's running? Who's running?
Oh, that's talking to him, Homer. That's telling him where to get off. Homer, tell him what you think of his suit.
Yeah.
Go on.
Sure. Some suit. You look just like my Uncle Oscar.
Now listen, Homer, if you call me that once more, I'll...
Oh, Henry, go after him. Sock him.
I'm going to.
Oh, wait a minute.
Hey, gee whiz.
Come around here.
Father, is that you? Do I have to go to the dentist?
You come with me.
Now?
Mr. Brown, you mean I can't beat Homer up?
And as for you, Henry Aldrich, you come along, too. And bring that suit with you.
Boy, am I ashamed. Am I ashamed?
Well, listen, Homer, here we are all the way out in the edge of town. Gee whiz, I'm tired walking.
Boy, am I ashamed.
Oh, it doesn't look so bad on you, Homer, now that the sun's gone down. All the checks are sort of blended together.
Yeah, I know. But my father said I've got to wear this suit to school tomorrow. Listen, Henry, you've already broken it in. Wouldn't you like to wear it?
Homer, didn't your father tell you I couldn't keep it? That he wanted you to have the pleasure of wearing it?
Yeah, sure. What do you think I want everyone in town to call me Oscar this and Oscar that for as long as I live here?
I wonder...
You wonder what?
I don't suppose we could burn the suit, could we?
Right on me?
Well...
No, the only thing is, Henry, my father wouldn't believe it was an accident. You know what I mean?
Well, listen, let's go back into town then.
Oh, no, not until it's pitch black.
Hey, Homer, look out.
What's the matter?
You see what I see crawling across the road?
Henry, what is that?
Gee whiz, it's a skunk, isn't it?
Henry, is that a skunk? Are you sure it's a skunk?
Sure it is.
Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty. Come to Homer.
Homer, hurry. He's getting away from you.
Right now, even in November, many sections of the country are unusually dry. This increases the danger of forest fires. So every time you're out in the fields or forest, follow these rules. Crush out cigarette, cigar, and pipe ashes. Break matches in two after using them. Drown all campfires, then stir and drown them again. Learn and respect the law before starting any fire. Forest rangers can fight forest fires, but only you can prevent them.
Is that you, Homer?
Yes, Father.
Are you back already?
Well, Father, it's like this.
Homer, didn't I tell you to go down to the dentist?
Well, yes, sir, I did. Only he said he'd rather wait a week or two before he works on me.
The Aldrich Family is transcribed as written by Clifford Goldsmith. Henry is played by Bobby Ellis and Homer by Jack Grimes. Mr. and Mrs. Aldrich are House Jameson and Catherine Roche. Your announcer is Dick Dudley. Listen again next week, same time, same station, for another sparkling half hour with the Aldrich Family.
Good night, everybody.
From 71 years ago, November 9th, 1952, the Aldrich Family here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Bob Hope and Groucho Marx straight ahead. I do want to mention, though, before I get any further here, our webpage, of course, is classicradio.stream. I mention that particularly for our listeners on YouTube. YouTube is playing funky with us again, and those of you who listen on YouTube, I would strongly suggest if for someday you come in and we're not here, you make sure you keep our website at hand, classicradio.stream, or download the Spreaker app. You can hear us there as well. A funny thing is Sony, their SME Entertainment, they seem to think that they own all the presidential speeches and all that, and they fail to understand that that stuff is in the public domain. I mean, I know there are a lot of companies that own politicians, but that's not what this is about. So they always give us grief when we air presidential speeches and such on this, trying to say that they own the speech. No, you don't. Those are public domain, and anything the president says is in the public domain. Now, soapbox off. Those multinationals try to own American politics and everything ever created by an American. Speaking of an American creation, a Canadian guy, Bob Hope. No, an English guy. What am I saying, Canadian? He's an English guy, Bob Hope, born in England. 75 years ago, November 9th, 1948, we'll hear Bob Hope. But first, these important words.
Within the next 20 seconds, a fire will break out somewhere in the United States. Lives may be lost, property damaged, homes or buildings destroyed. Yes, there are 4,600 fires in America each day of the year. They kill 11,000 persons and disfigure or severely burn thousands more. The unfortunate part of this picture is that most of these fires could have been avoided. For example, 90% of all fires which start in the home can be traced to human carelessness. By obeying a few simple rules of fire prevention from now on, you and I can protect ourselves and our families from this devastating menace. Rule 1 is don't smoke in bed or discard lighted cigarettes carelessly. Rule 2, clean out old newspapers, magazines, and other inflammable debris. Rule 3, promptly repair defective wiring as soon as you notice it. Fire won't wait until tomorrow. Rule 4, use only those cleaning fluids which will not burn. And last but not least, be careful with matches. Keep them out of the reach of small children. Remember, it doesn't pay to gamble with fire. The odds are against you every time.
You know, in our small town in northern Nevada, we had a horrific explosion and fire here, and several people died. And one of the issues is it was a propane leak. And so this is the time of year I always remind people, check your propane stoves, check your gas stoves. Most importantly, change the battery in your smoke detector. And if you've got a carbon monoxide alarm, which why don't you? You should. If you have gas in your home, you need to have those carbon monoxide protectors to protect you. Check those batteries and all of that. Alrighty, special guest on the Bob Hope Show that we'll hear next is Jack Benny. This episode from 75 years ago today, November 9th, 1948, as they go to the Make Believe Washroom.
Well, I swan.
Me too. So do I.
How about you?
Yes, it's the new Swan Show with our great singing star, Doris Day.
Well, I swan.
A new singing favorite, Bill Farrow.
That's me.
Our guests, Jack Benny, Irene Ryan, the Four Hits and a Miss, the new Les Brown Band.
We use Swan exclusively. How about you?
Yes, how about you?
Who, me? My name is Robert Hopalong Hope.
And now, Bob Hope's Swan's Eye View of the News. Princeton, New Jersey. Hurried conferences and frantic alibis were the order of the day here as the nation's poll takers sought to explain their disastrous error in predicting the results of last week's election.
Dr. Gallup was amazed at the outcome, but he wouldn't admit he was wrong. Last night he was still peeking into the White House window and singing, "Maybe You'll Be There." He was really unhappy. When he saw the election returns, he exclaimed, "It's the last time I take a house-to-house survey. From now on, I'm going to ask people." I called up Elmer Roper and said, "How can your predictions be so wrong?" He said, "You see, we mathematicians make a prodigious effort to ascertain by statistical and prognostication and political prestidigitation the approximate parallelisms." I said, "What does that mean?" He said, "Where can I get a job?" And last Tuesday night, Drew Pearson said over the radio, "I predict Dewey will be elected by 10:30. At 11 o'clock, he said, "I predict Dewey." At 12, he said, "I predict." The next morning, he said, "Ay.
New York, New York. Phone company executives announced here today that telephones for automobiles were at long last ready and available for Mr. Average Motorist.
I had a phone put in my car last week, but the wires must be crossed. Every time I step on the starter, the spark plugs give a busy signal, and the receiver squirts a quart of hot oil in my ear. But they're a big help to the motorist. If a guy's speeding, he can look in the rear vision mirror, see a cop trailing him, call his lawyer, and the three of them can meet at the next intersection. But think what it'll be like later on when cars have telephones and television, too. A guy's driving along, his wife calls up and says, "Honey, bring home a head of lettuce, some carrots, a cucumber, and get that tomato out of your car."
Washington, D.C. The greatest ovation in the history of the nation's capital greeted President Truman as a crowd of 750,000 cheered his triumphant return to the White House.
Yes, sir, it was at a reception. From every window they were throwing confetti and old cabinet members. And the world will long remember President Truman's historic words when he returned to the White House. He said, "It's okay, Bess, you can send the laundry out now." When Harry got back to the White House, he started hanging up his coat. Governor Warren stuck his head out of the closet and said, "I'll be out of your way as soon as I pack up my oranges." The Democrats did so well in that election, they're even coming out with new products named after the president. They got a new thing now called the Harry Truman Popsicle. It's a frozen Republican on a stick. And with the election coming out the way it did, a lot of people had to change their plans. Now Margaret Truman has to go back to the White House, and she had it all set to be the fourth Andrews sister. The three candidates have really changed their tune since the election. Truman's changed from Missouri Waltz to It's Magic. Dewey's humming Say It Isn't So, and Wallace is singing On a Slow Boat to China.
Announcing only 8 more days of the Swan 1949 Mercury contest. Only 8 more days to win a brand new 1949 Mercury automobile. Right now, here are more winners in the Daily Mercury contest. October 19th, Mrs. Don Andrews of Portsmouth, Virginia.
A new 1949 Mercury.
October 20th, Mrs. B.V. Painter of San Diego, California.
A new 1949 Mercury.
October 21st, Mrs. Arlene Brewster of Topeka, Kansas.
A new 1949 Mercury.
October 22nd, duplicate winners, Mr. Fred S. Balsinger of Denver, Colorado, and Mrs. E.P. Williamson of Honolulu.
Each win a new 1949 Mercury.
October 25th, Mrs. Alvin M. David, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
A new 1949 Mercury.
Congratulations, winners, and remember, folks, there are only 8 more days to enter. Lever Brothers is giving away a Mercury a day every day until November 19th.
That's right, a Mercury a day plus $1,000 in cash awards daily. There's a new contest every day except Saturday and Sunday, and you can enter as often as you please.
All residents of the continental United States, including Alaska and Hawaii, are eligible.
Just be sure to follow the complete rules printed on free entry blanks at your store. And be sure to include your storekeeper's name.
Here's all you do. Finish the following statement. I like Swan soap because in 25 words or less. Then send a Swan soap wrapper together with your name and address to Lever's Mercury a Day contest, Post Office Box 3, New York 8, New York.
Well, I swan.
A Mercury a day.
That's right. Gee whiz.
Bye, Cracky.
Here's the gal who was selected as the Orchid Queen of the National Flower Festival, our singing orchid, Miss Doris Day.
Every day I love you just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. A little bit more. Every day I want you just a little bit more than I did the day before. You'll never guess how deep my love is, not even in your wildest dreams. But just so you get it clear, compared to my love, my dear, the Mississippi River's just a stream. Every day I love you just a little bit more, just a little bit more, a little bit more. Every day I want you just a little bit more than I did the day before. Than I did the day before.
Downey, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, you probably read in the papers last week that while making a picture at Paramount, Bob Hope tripped and tore a muscle in his right leg. Now let's look behind the scenes and see how an accident like this affects the motion picture industry. We take you to the production offices at Paramount, where the heads of the studio, Henry Geeksburg and Y. Frankman, are talking.
Say, YF.
Yes, SG.
I've been thinking. We've got a lot of money tied up in that character, Bob Hope. And if his leg doesn't get any better, he may never be in another Paramount picture. How could a thing like that happen to us?
Oh, I don't know. Just lucky, I guess.
But YF, what'll we do about Hope? His leg may be broken.
Yeah, too bad he ain't Trigger. We could shoot him.
You know how this accident happened, don't you, YF? Hope was doing that boat scene, and as he tried to get on board, he slipped and fell because somebody had put grease all over the gangplank. You know, it looks like someone is out to get him.
Yeah. Now remember, HG, if there's an investigation, we're in this thing together.
Well, it seemed like the easy way. And while we're on the subject, YF, we got to get rid of a lot of the actors over here. They're getting too old.
Yeah, how about that Crosby? Remember when we thought we had mice in the studio? We spent $5,000 to get rid of the mice, and then found out it was Crosby's joints that were doing the squeaking.
You know, YF, I think Bing is about the same age as Hope.
Yeah, I know it. If we put them in another road picture, the road's got to be downhill. By the way, where's Hope now?
He's over in his dressing room resting.
Oh, Doris, this pain is awful.
Oh, is it really that bad, Bob? Let me look at your leg. Oh, my gosh, it's all twisted out of shape, isn't it?
That's the wrong leg.
Bob. I hate to see you in such misery. Does it hurt much?
Well, I don't care about that. I just wish it had been my other knee.
Why?
Well, the knee I hurt is the one with a dimple in it. Now I'll never be able to wear my pedal pushers with a split up the side.
Bob, I just don't understand how a thing like this could happen to you. You're so strong and husky.
Am I?
Yeah, and so loaded with vitality.
Honest?
Sure. Why, I always think of you as being a real He-Man.
You do?
Yes.
I have so much more than Gregory. Why should I fight it? Say, it was sure nice of you to drop in, though, Doris. I wanted...
Hello, Doris. Hello, Mr. Hope.
Oh, hello, Miss Ryan.
Hello, Miss Ryan. How do you feel today?
Well, you know me. I always try to keep my chin up, even though my arches are falling. I heard about what happened to Mr. Hope, and I thought I'd come over and cheer him up.
Oh, thanks. You see, I hurt my leg and I can't move it. It's nothing to worry about.
Oh, I don't know about that. My Uncle Julius had the same thing once in his shoulders, and he couldn't move his arms. The doctor made him leave them in one position.
Oh, that must have been terrible.
Well, it worked out all right. When he died 2 days later, his arms were already folded on his chest.
That's nice. Portia faces life. This gal backs into it.
Bob, you should listen to Miss Ryan. She can help you. She's been through a lot of these things, you know.
Oh, yes. I've never really been all my life. That is all of it, you know. And recently, Mr. Hope, it's been much worse. Yesterday, I thought I was losing my mind. All day long, I kept hearing voices in my head.
You were hearing voices in your head?
Yes, but I found out what it was. The battery in my hearing aid was low, and I was still getting the election return.
Well, don't worry. Hoover made it, you know. But it was nice of you to drop in, Miss Ryan.
Well, I do hope you get better. Oh, that reminds me, before I go, I wanted to show you a picture of my Uncle Julius, the one who died.
Well, what do I want to see a picture of him for?
Well, you might get worse. And if you don't pull through, it'll be nice if you know somebody when you get there. Keep your chin up now. Goodbye.
Thanks. If she ever gets married, she'll spend her honeymoon in the window of the Rexall drugstore.
Well, I have to be running along too, Bob. I promised Hy Averback I'd meet him. He's making a screen test over here.
Averback is making a screen test? You mean they've run out of talent?
Well, I think Hy will do very well in pictures because he just has so...
Oh, hello, everybody. Hello, Doris.
Oh, hello, Hy. Are you all ready for your screen test?
Yes, Doris. I just came from the makeup department.
They didn't get your ears on straight.
At least my lobes are on the bottom. Well, now, Doris, how about running through the screen test with me like you promised?
Okay, Hy. Hand me the script.
Yeah, now, the scene we're doing takes place in a New York penthouse. We're social leaders and we're married, but we're splitting up. Now, you have the first line, and I want you to pay close attention to my diction.
Montgomery, I'm afraid that you and I are through. It's regrettable, but we can't go on.
Yes, Alice. I'm so sorry that we must split. But I'm afraid we must go our separate ways.
Don't you think you're carrying too many pounds of pressure there?
Well,
Lobes
Montgomery.
on upside down. Okay, it's all right.
Well, Montgomery, if we're parting, I insist that you give me the house.
You may have the house.
And I want the Cadillac and the 2 Mercuries.
They're yours, but there's one thing you may not have.
If you're speaking of the children, I want them.
You may have the children, my riches, and my home. But I insist that you leave one thing.
What?
That cake of swan soap in the kitchen.
Jimmy Fiddler will give this picture 4 bubbles.
Yes, Alice. Alice, take everything, but please, please don't take that Swan. Swan is the newer, better white floating soap. Swan never crumples like our dream castles did.
No, sir, you can use Swan right down to the last smooth sliver. And why? Because Swan is made by a modern, patented process that no other soap can use. A process that makes Swan better for dishes and hands. Swan is as mild as the finest Castile. It protects your hands, keeps them soft and smooth.
He's right. My hands are so soft, when I want to point at anybody, I have to starch one finger.
Oh, Alice, I can't leave you. Just think, a cake of Swan brought us together again. I still love you.
And I love you.
I love you, Alice.
Oh, I love you, Monty.
I'm engaged to the Lever brothers.
Yes, for your hands, your bath, and for baby's bath. Swan is the best soap afloat.
Well, I Swan.
Me too.
Yes, sir. By cracky.
Here's our junior crooner we borrowed from the Oasis this week. The 19-year-old Bill Farrell, ladies and gentlemen.
There is no verse to this song, 'cause I don't want to wait a moment too long to say that I'd love to get you on a slow boat to China, all to myself alone. Get you and keep you in my arms evermore. Leave all your lovers weeping on the faraway shore. Out on the briny with the moon big and shiny, melting your heart of stone. Yes, I want to get you on a slow boat to China, all to myself alone. Yes, I want to get you on a slow boat to China, all to myself alone. On a real slow boat, on a real slow boat, on a slow, slow boat to China.
Son from Cleveland, Billy Farrell. Thank you very much. Singing Slow Boat to China. Now, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we're going to present a very different kind of a thing here. We have a thing here. Musicians, please, no tuning while the star is on, please. Now, as I was saying, please, hey, Evelyn, stop with that magic violin.
I resent that.
Well, Jack Benny, ladies and gentlemen. Jack, what are you doing here?
Some surprise. We rehearsed 9 weeks already.
Bob, look, I heard about your leg, and I thought I'd pay you a visit. Well, that's swell of you, Jack, but how come you're sitting in with Les Brown's orchestra?
Well, just once I wanted to play in a band and not worry about the leader's breath taking the varnish off my violin.
Well, you don't have to worry about Les. Les hasn't been high since Petrillo picked him up to burp him. But look, it was awfully nice of you to drop in to see me, Jack.
Well, I was sorry to hear about your accident, Bob.
Yeah, it's a little uncomfortable, but the worst of it is whenever I hobble down the street, people keep throwing money in my hat.
They do? Gosh, how embarrassing. That's terrible. That must be awful. Bob, how much do you average a block?
Oh, it varies, but take my advice, Jack. Stay away from Beverly Hills. Nothing but Dewey buttons. But I can't get over how nice it is of you to drop in on me, Jack.
Well, Bob, that's the way it is with us troopers. You know, we show people have to stick together in these times of trouble. Why, as soon as I heard of your accident, I rushed right over here to be the first one at your side.
Jack, you came over just to help me?
Well, yes. Of course, if you buy the insurance policy I have in mind, it helps me a little, too, you know.
Jack, why are you selling insurance?
Well, you see, it's a little early to start unloading my line of Christmas cards.
Well, Jack, I don't get this. You're a wealthy man. You're worth millions of dollars.
Whoops.
Selling insurance, huh? Well, if you got a sample policy, you can show me there in your portfolio. Jack, did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear anything.
You sure you didn't hear that echo?
No, kid, this is your show.
Well, look, Jack, let's face it, this is ridiculous. You don't have to sell insurance. You're a star. They write about you in the Saturday Evening Post. You're one of the outstanding comedians in show business. One of them. You don't mind me throwing that in there, do you?
No, this is still your show, kid.
No, but you're really great, Jack. People stay at home on Sundays just to listen to your radio show.
I have so much more than Fred Allen. Why should I fight?
Say, wait a minute. That's my gag.
I'll trade you for the yodel. Huh?
What'll my sponsor say?
Well, I swan.
Me too.
Yes, sir.
Bye, Cracky.
That's right.
Wait a minute.
Gee whiz.
My goodness.
Of course.
And how?
Wait a minute.
I'll say.
Hurry up.
You bet.
Hoo-ha.
Wait a minute.
Yes, sir.
By cracky.
Wait a minute!
Easy, Jack. Either we peddle the stuff this way or I have to put on a pair of water wings and sell it bathtub to bathtub.
My next line is a humdinger. Wait a minute. Bathtub to bathtub, huh? I have trouble with my sponsor, too. That's a dandy line. Thanks, Bob. I rehearsed 4 weeks for that line.
Well, we were going to give you something you could get your teeth into, but we weren't sure you'd have them with you tonight.
You wouldn't dare say that if you were still with Pepsodent, brother. You coward.
Let's get back to this stuff, huh?
Now, look. We'll never get through with this tonight. Look at it. You know, Bob, you know who has
Stand
the
by,
sweetest...
Fibber.
You know who has the sweetest... Page 15. You know who has the sweetest...
I'm not...
You know who has the sweet... Never get on.
Wait a
You know
minute.
who has... I want to play the violin yet. Wait a minute.
Wait a minute. Are we still on?
You know who has the sweetest racket radio, don't you? The disc jockeys.
Disc jockeys. You mean one of those guys who says, this next record is sponsored by the Happy Hunting Ground Funeral Home, and now the orchestra plays he's a real gone guy?
We haven't got time to wait
See,
for
why
that.
don't we try... Please, your laughs, not mine, please. Say, why don't we try our hand at being disc jockeys, Jack? All we have to do is make the rounds of the music shops and pick up a couple of 100 records.
Well, I don't know.
For free.
Shoot the wax to me, Max.
We'd be great as a team of disc jockeys. As they say in radio, I can just hear it now.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to station SLOB, the biggest on the coast. And now we present Jazzy Jack Benny and Bebop Bob in their original radio record show, Make Believe Washroom.
Hiya, gang. Hiya, Jan. This is your old disc jockey, Bebop Bob, with another knocked-out record section. It's all on wax and it's real mad, so you kids who want to get your kicks, lace up your boots and latch on to some of this frantic jive that we're going to send swinging your way. Right now, cats would like to turn the mic over to a real hep character, the man who knows all the answers in the world of jazz, that solid jet my platter partner, Jazzy Jack Benny.
Hacha Bodio Do.
Solid Jack. And now, before we spin our next platter for you kids, we'd like to tell you the next minute and a half of our show is sponsored by Dr. Capstaff's weight-reducing plan.
We'd like a word with those of you ladies who weigh over 400 pounds. Do you have the feeling that you're being followed? You are. It's you.
And you men over 400 pounds, do you have large stomachs? When you get your shoes shined, you have to take the bootblack's word for it.
And why not try Dr. Capstaff's weight-reducing pill?
Yes, to take off those extra pounds, try Dr. Capstaff's method. No diet, no pills, no injections, no exercise. Once a week, Dr. Capstaff comes to your house and beats you with a rubber hose. And now we're going to play our first record. It's a little tune called I'm Dancing with Tears in My Eyes because the girl in my arms had onions for dinner.
It's going to be played by Woody Gribbinus and As You Should Live So Long if you can find the Melody Orchestra. Hit it, Woody.
Thanks, Woody. That was great.
Look, Bebop, a bunch of new releases just arrived.
Gee, there's some interesting titles. Look at this one. You used to be the cream in my coffee, but now you're just grounds for divorce.
Get a load of this one. If you were the only girl in the world and I was the only boy, I wonder who I'd play handball with at the Y.
Here's my favorite. Hair of gold, eyes of blue, lips like cherry wine. I never should have stomped on them with my bare feet. Say, suppose we play that one right now.
Okay, but first a word from our sponsor.
Yes, this next record is coming to you through the courtesy of Slushies, the only breakfast cereal that's shot out of a water pistol.
Folks, you'll just love Slushies. They don't snap, crackle, and pop like other breakfast cereals. They just lie there and ooze.
Mothers, you would cheer when you see the way your kids dive into a bowl of Slushies. They never come up again. Listen to what one happy user of Slushies has to say.
I've been eating Slushies for nigh on to 30 years. And I want to tell you something. I'm getting mighty tired.
Thank you, F.E. Spoon of Battle Creek, Michigan. Say, Jack, what's next on the turntable?
Oh, the folks will just love this one.
Yes, sir. It's a new release that features a duet by that brilliant young Waukegan violinist, Benny Kabelski.
And that new Cleveland singing discovery, the Velvet Smog.
Okay, should we give it a whirl?
Yeah.
Oh, east is east and west is west and the wrong one I have chose. Let's go where you keep on wearing those frills and flowers and buttons and bows, rings and things and buttons and bows. Don't bury me in this prairie, take me where the cement grows. Let's move down to some big town where they love a gal by the cut of her clothes, and you'll stand out in buttons and bows. No practicing on our time, please. I love you in buckskin skirt that you homespun, but I love you longer, stronger, where your friends don't go to gun. Now it's the buckboard bounce and a cactus hurts my tears. Let's vamoose where gals keep using those silks and satins and linen that shows, and you're all mine in buttons and bows. Thank you, Jack. Thank you very much. You've been fine. That's fine, Jack. Thank you. Next week, ladies and gentlemen. Jack, wait a minute, Jack. We have next week. It's all over, kids. Pack up. Okay. We have another. Next week, we have Morton Downey, ladies and gentlemen. That Coca. Say, okay, Jack. Wait a minute. It's all over, Jack. Jack, wait a minute! Wait a minute! Thanks for the memory of the vote in 48. A chance to demonstrate whom we endorse to chart the course of our U.S. ship estate. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to pay a tribute to that fighting man from Missouri who stepped into the ring last Tuesday with the odds against him and came out the winner and still champion of the USA, President Harry S. Truman.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, is my hair fairest of them all?
It is when you use Rave Cream Shampoo. Rave leaves your hair so clean, so soft, so easy to manage. Easy to manage because the pure lanolin in Rave is specially blended with other important ingredients to make hair behave, even on shampoo day. Try Rave Cream Shampoo. R-A-Y-V-E. Rave Cream Shampoo.
This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
They ran right up to it, didn't they? The Bob Hope Show, as it was broadcast back on November 9th, 1948, 75 years ago. Couple of notes from the show. Of course, Doris Day was the girl singer there, and she was best known as a singer in the 40s, and of course her voice carried her into the movies into the 1950s and continued along throughout the years. She was a fine singer, a good actress, and she made a long life. Died in 2019 at the age of 97. One of her husbands said the main reason they got divorced was she loved her dogs more than she loved him. That was a problem. Well, that was a concern that some people had with their spouses. Of course, after Bob Hope, after Alan Ludden died, Betty White continued on with her animal advocacy, and that kept her going until she was able to reunite with her beloved after her passing. Swan Soap, no longer around. It was introduced in 1941, and that was not a good time to introduce a new soap because, soap would become scarce during World War II. A lot of those materials, a lot of the stuff that was used to make soap was needed for war materials. But it was a competitor to Ivory soap. And in fact, Swan and Lieber Brothers and Ivory Soap's producer, which was Procter & Gamble, got into litigation. Lieber sued Procter & Gamble for patent infringement after the format of Ivory Soap changed, and they found the patent had been infringed. Procter had to pay Lieber over $5.6 million. Big chunk of change back in the day. And interestingly enough, Swan Soap's no longer marketed, and I wonder if it could have been a 1972 lawsuit that caused the problem, even though a woman said Swan's dishwashing detergent caused her to have skin irritation. Now, the judge found for Lieber Brothers, said that Swan was not responsible for it, dismissed the suit after a trial on the merits in 1973, but the damage was already done. Publicity from the trial hurt the sales. Swan discontinued in 1974. So Swan was a big radio sponsor back in the day. George Burns and Gracie Allen, Joan Davis's show, the Bob Hope Show, and of course my friend Irma. There you go. That's a little bit on Swan Soap that might be of interest to you. Alrighty, that's some of the background to this edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. And when we continue in just a moment, say the secret word and Groucho will give you $100. Well, not really. But that's up next. You Bet Your Life, starring Groucho Marx on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
America's Protestants, Catholics, and Jews are strengthening the bonds of brotherhood and friendship by helping the needy overseas. Through their houses of worship, these three faiths are sending voluntary relief to virtually every free country in the world. Hundreds of millions of pounds of goods, clothing, and medicine will go to victims of war, disaster, and famine in many parts of the world. More than 80% of American voluntary relief work for the hungry and needy overseas is conducted through the religious agencies of these three major faith groups. When you share with needy persons overseas through your house of worship, you are promoting the spirit of democracy that unites all peoples for peace and goodwill. You are keeping faith with the finest tradition and heritage of America. CBS Radio urges you to keep faith with those in need overseas by giving as much as you can through your faith.
All right, now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we wrap up today's show. Oh, I want to tell you tomorrow, crime drama, and that will have an episode of Dragnet from 1953. Mr. Keene, Tracer of Lost Persons, will have an episode of Rocky Fortune and the Messenger for Murder, and we will have an episode of Suspense, The Frightened City. That stars Frank Lovejoy. That's coming up on our Friday version of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, available anywhere podcasts are served. And, of course, if you want to grab our app, I don't want to say our app, because the Spreaker app is an easy way. If those of you especially who are listening on YouTube, grab the Spreaker app. You can get a link through classicradio.stream, download the app, and you can find our show there any old time. Now, the conclusion of our show today with Groucho Marx and You Bet Your Life. This episode goes back 74 years to November 8th, 1949, and George Fenneman will tell you the secret word here pretty quick.
Ladies and gentlemen, the secret word tonight is ink. I-N-K.
Really?
You bet your life! The one, the only...
Hey, that's me, Groucho Marx. Thank you. Well, here I am again with $1,000 for one of our couples tonight. George Fenneman, who's first?
Just before we went on the air, we asked if there were any young people present who'd like to get married someday. And our studio audience selected Miss Mary Cool and Dr. Eugene D. McCann, Jr., and here they are. Folks, meet Groucho Marx.
So you two are in search of romance, eh? Mary Cool?
That's right. Cool.
Oh, cool, huh? Where are you from, Mary?
I'm from around Milwaukee. I was born in Wauwatosa.
I had that for breakfast this morning. Why did you come to California?
I came to see the Rose Bowl game last year.
You were a little late, weren't you, Mary?
No, we won.
Oh, you won, huh?
Yes, we did.
And now you're waiting for the next Rose Bowl game?
That's right.
And what do you do between games? Huh?
I'm a secretary.
And Mr. McCann? Mr.
right.
McCann, Jr., huh? Eugene D. McCann, huh?
That's right.
What does the D stand for? Does that represent anything?
Oh, that's the first letter of my middle name.
Well, that's better than having it the last letter of your middle name.
Not mine. It is the last letter.
That is the last letter,
Yes.
too? It's the last. Well, what is your name? Middle name.
I don't use it very much.
Well, I won't tell anybody if you don't. What is it?
Duddy.
Did you say Duddy?
That's right.
Not Fuddy Duddy, huh? Are you related to Howdy Duddy? Does Duddy have any significance in addition to getting laughs?
It was my uncle's name. That's all I got from him.
Well, I must say he didn't leave you much, huh? What was your reason for coming to California?
I was born here.
I thought maybe you were trying to get away from your uncle. How old are you, Eugene?
27.
What's your age, Mary?
I was 21 on September 5th.
What year? Where do you work, John?
I work at Prudential Insurance Company of America.
And just what do you do there?
Well, I am a secretary, and my job consists of taking shorthand, typing, answering the telephone, and attending conferences, taking notes.
A lot of men sitting in the room?
Yes, there are.
It's fun, huh?
Yes, it is.
Around 5 o'clock, I suppose, you're on your last lap. Now, what sort of work do you do, Gene?
I'm an optometrist, Groucho.
An optometrist. Now, well, what's the difference between an optometrist and an oculist and an optician? Couldn't one fella do all three jobs?
No, they're all different licenses.
Well, they're all the same to me. No matter which one I get a bill from, I still can't believe my eyes. How did you get to be an eye, ear, and nose specialist?
I have nothing to do with the nose and ears, Groucho.
You have nothing to do with it?
No.
Well, if you had nothing to do with the nose and the ears, where would you hang the glasses? Well, have you ever considered sharing an office with a dentist? You know, you could then advertise an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Doc, do you have a slogan?
Yes.
Have you got a slogan?
Yes.
What is it?
You can't be optimistic with misty optics.
That's very quaint. Did you make that up yourself, Doc?
That's original, yes, but I happen to be an optimist also, so that...
What do you mean you're an optimist?
Well, that's a club that's in Los Angeles, and this is Optimist Week.
Well, what is an optimist?
Well, he's a member of the Optimist Club. They have, their main interest is in the boy. Their slogan is a friend of the boy.
Friend of the boy,
That's
huh?
correct.
Is there a sister club to that? Now, tell me, bifocals, do you work for somebody, or do you have your own office?
No, I've been associated with my father for 6 years.
You're lucky. Nobody's associated with me for 6 years. By the way, Rimsky-Korsakov, how is it you don't wear glasses?
I don't need them.
Well, don't look at me like that. I'm sure you've seen plenty of spectacles in your day. Huh? Mary, do you think you could fall in love with a nice, successful, young, clean-looking optometrist? Huh?
Well, I don't know. I've just met him.
Well, stop giving him the eye, or he's liable to charge you for an examination.
It'd be free examination.
It would be free. Doc, would you mind looking deep into Mary's eyes and tell me what you see there?
Huh? The media is extremely clear.
What was that?
The media is extremely clear.
The media is extremely clear. Huh? Still, it's been snowing in the mountains.
There's no sedimentation in the anterior chamber.
What did you say your middle name was? Doc, you're about as romantic as a dish of sauerkraut. Well, you two ought to get along beautifully. An optimistic optometrist and a beautiful girl. Therefore, I now pronounce you winking, blinking, and may you have many little nods. Now, in just 1 minute, you're going to work together as a team for $1,000. But right now, I want you to pay attention to some interesting advice. Now, let's see if you two will get a chance at the $1,000 question. You're going to play your Bet Your Life. Fenneman, give out with the rules.
Each of our three couples has $20. They bet as much of that 20 as they want on each of 4 questions. The couple that earns the most money gets a chance at the $1,000 question at the end of the show. Our other 2 couples are in a waiting room off stage, so they don't know what's going on out here.
Here we go. Let's see how high I can build you $20. What question category did you select?
Prominent sports figures.
That's right. Now, here's your first question. You have $20. How much are you going to try?
10.
$10? In what sport is Earl Cashel famous?
Golf.
No, I'm sorry. It's tennis. Well known. I think he ranked about 6th this year in the United States.
They now have $10.
Remember, you're going for $1,000 tonight, and that's the big prize.
5.
How much of the $10 you going to try?
5.
5. Okay. Ralph Neves, Neves, or Nevis, is famous in what sport?
Horse racing.
Horse racing is right. Now I know where you bet your money.
Now they're on their way. They have $15.
Now I know where your money goes. Now you have $15. In what sport are you going to bet how much?
10.
10. In what sport is Bob Dillinger famous? Take a guess.
Boxing.
No, I'm sorry. It's baseball. He's with the St. Louis Browns, I believe.
They now have $5.
Well, you now got $5. You can't get married on $5, you know.
We'll end up 5.
You're going to bet $5, huh? In what sport is Jim Ferrier famous? F-E-R-R-I-E-R. Jim Ferrier.
Football, I'll say.
No, it's golf. I'm going to give you one more chance to get rich quick. You answer this question correctly, I'll hand over $10 in cash. Who is buried in Grant's tomb? Grant is right.
Thank you.
Don't go away now. You're still in the running for the big question.
Groucho, the next couple has been in a waiting room off stage, so they don't know the secret word is ink. Perhaps they'll say it. Just before we went on the air, the studio audience selected a man who works for the city public health department and a housewife to be his partner. And here they come. Mrs. Emma Ziegler and Mr. Al Toribio. Meet Groucho Marx.
Mrs. Ziegler? I'll call you Emma, huh? Where are you from?
From 1550 West 52nd Street in Los Angeles.
Is that upstairs or down? I meant, where are you from originally, Emma? And I don't want to hear any nonsense about the stork either, right?
Well, originally I was born in a barn near Lansdale, Pennsylvania.
You were born in a barn?
That's right.
Well, that was a horse on you, wasn't it, Emma? How long have you been married, Emma?
For 12 and a half years.
12 and a half years. Do you have any children?
I have 4 kids.
You have 4 kids, huh? Very interesting, huh? Do you have any children?
Yes, I have 4 children.
How did you meet your husband? I didn't mean to be so fresh, Mrs. Ziegler.
When we were deep sea fishing, I handed...
You were deep sea fishing? And you pulled him out?
No. He sort of helped me out. I handed him my uncle's false teeth.
What, were you using that for bait?
No, my uncle had given them to me.
You gave your boyfriend your uncle's teeth?
He wasn't my boyfriend then. He was a perfect stranger.
Well, did he put... And then you put the bite on him?
Shortly after that, he put the bite on me.
Mr. Toribio?
That's right, Groucho.
You're from the public health department, huh?
That's right, Groucho.
How do you feel?
I can't kick.
Rheumatism? Where are you from, Al?
City Health Department.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel, huh?
Swell.
Swell, huh? Got the mumps? Huh? I mean, what town are you from, Al?
Oh, Trinidad, Colorado.
How's the health in your family, Mrs. Ziegler?
We're all in top shape.
You're all in top shape. Shaped like a top, huh? Suppose on Sunday you go out for a spin, huh?
Sometimes we do.
With all those children, Emma, do you ever have a case of the sniffles or a cold around the house?
Quite frequently.
What do you do in a case like that?
Well, one time when 3 of them came down at one time, I got out the sewing machine and started making dresses.
You always make dresses when the kids have a cold?
It's a good time.
Well, don't you give them any medication of any kind?
Well, I did that in between the scenes.
Well, you threw me that time, Emma. Mr. Toribio, how would you handle it if you came home and found 4 youngsters all broken out?
Well, I'd check to see whose children they were first.
You have a very suspicious nature. Haven't you got 4 children?
3, Groucho.
Well, don't come running to me with your trouble. Okay, now let's play You Bet Your Life for $1,000. Run your $20 into more than the other couples, and you get a chance at the big question later. Fenneman's off stage to remind our listeners how much the first couple won.
The secretary and the optometrist lost all their money, so these people have a clear field.
Here we go. Let's see how high I can build you $20. What question category did you select?
Movie biographies.
How much you going to bet?
Oh, $10. $10.
Okay. Who played the title role in Wilson?
Alexander Knox.
Alexander Knox is correct.
Well, on the way with $30, Groucho.
Okay, you've got $30. You're betting how much?
$25.
Who played authoress George Sand in A Song to Remember? The authoress.
Was it Merle Oberon?
It was Merle Oberon on the nose.
On the way now, they have $55.
Now, how much are you going to try of the 55?
$40.
$40. Who played composer George Gershwin in Rhapsody in Blue? It's a toughie.
He's a director in New York now, stage director. Name of...
Take a stab. I'm sorry. As Archie Mayo would say, the bell is tolled. It was Robert Alder, and that's a pretty tough one.
They now have $15.
Okay, now how much are you going to try of the $15?
15.
Let's take it 10.
You're going to
10? She says 10.
$10. Who played composer Jerome Kern Until the Clouds Roll By? Oh, that's a shame. It was Robert Walker.
And they wind up with $5.
Well, thanks and good luck. Now, in just 1 minute, our last couple will play You Bet Your Life, and then we know who gets the $1,000 question. But at the moment, I'd like you to listen to this. Now then, we'll soon know who's going to earn the most money and get the chance at the $1,000 question. George, who's ahead so far?
Well, the health inspector and the housewife with $5 are leading. Our final couple doesn't know the secret word is ink, since they've been in a waiting room off stage. Perhaps they'll say it. Just before we went on the air, our studio audience selected a cross-country bus driver and a roller coaster operator. And here they are, Mr. Bernard Sampson and Mr. Robert Sewell. Meet Groucho Marx.
Welcome, gentlemen, to You Bet Your Life. Mr. Sampson, you're the bus driver, huh? Which bus do you drive, Bernard?
Pacific Greyhound Lines.
Mr. Sewell, Mr. Robert Sewell, huh? What do you do?
I'm a roller coaster operator.
Where do you do your operating, Bob?
An Ocean Park Pier.
Just where is Ocean Park Pier?
It's an ocean park.
You don't get around much, do you? Huh? Bus driver, are you still here blocking the traffic?
I'm still here.
Where are you from?
Chicago.
Are you married?
Yes, I'm married.
How'd you meet your wife?
I met her on a Pacific Electric train going to work. All the way downtown, I just kept looking at her, and she didn't say nothing to me, and I didn't say nothing to her. And
you had a very interesting conversation.
Well, before I got off, I asked her for a phone number, and I told her I'd write the number down, and she'd give it to me, and she gave it me pretty fast, and just about to write, and I ran out of ink.
Now, where were we when you spilled ink all over the joint, huh? So, you ran out of ink?
And wrote down her number with a pencil on a piece of paper, and I called her up and told her I was going to marry her. And here I am.
And since that time, you've been riding buses, huh?
Well, I'm pushing the Greyhound down the highway.
What time does your bus stop at Long Beach, driver?
I don't stop in Long Beach.
What have you got against Long Beach? Let's take another ride on the roller coaster, operator. Just what do you do on your job, Mr. Sewell?
Oh, I release the brake levers.
That's all you do? Just pull the lever? Don't you do anything else?
Oh, we load the people in the train first.
And what do you do while the coaster is going over the track?
Oh, I just stand there and wait for it to come back down.
I mean, you just stand there and hope it comes down. Is that what you mean?
Oh, it'll come back all right.
You're pretty despondent about the whole thing, aren't you? Well, what do you do if the thing doesn't come down? How do you get it down?
Well, it's always came back.
Well, I can't shake your story, can I? Huh? Well, if it didn't come down, what would you do? Put an ad in the paper or something? Lost one roller coaster? Now, how long a trip is it on your booby trap? Huh?
7/8 of a mile around.
7/8 of a mile. And how long does it take to cover that distance?
It takes 1 minute and 45 seconds.
And how much does it cost for the ride?
25 cents.
For 7/8 of a mile, 25 cents. Huh? It's pretty expensive, isn't it? Bus driver, how far can I go in your bus for a quarter?
Oh, about 12.5 miles.
In which direction?
Anywhere you want to go.
Okay, up. What time is your bus stop at Anaheim?
I don't stop in Anaheim.
What have you got against Anaheim? Operator, how do you explain your exorbitant rates compared with the bus company?
Well, we have a very thrilling ride there on the coaster. It takes you up and down and around, a lot of twists and curves. That's a lot of fun.
A lot of thrills, huh?
Lots of thrills.
It's evident you've never been on a bus. Say, Greyhound, what time is your bus stop at Santa Barbara?
About 3:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, you stop at Santa Barbara, eh? What have you got against Santa Barbara? By the way, those roller coasters look pretty rickety to me. How do you know they won't collapse?
Oh, they're inspected each day.
Mm-hmm. Who inspects them?
I do. The building inspector comes around once a month.
Mr. Sewell, you say you inspect them?
Yes, sir.
How?
Well, I'll walk over the track and see that everything's all right.
You go up over the top and all that stuff?
Yes. Then the building inspector comes around once a month.
You make him
looks
ride
it over. No, he won't ride it.
He won't ride it. That building inspector is no fool, you know. Now, let's play You Bet Your Life. If you can beat our other two couples in the quiz, you'll get a crack at the $1,000 question. Can't tell you how much they won, but George is off stage to remind our listeners.
The health inspector and the housewife are ahead with $5.
Here we go. Let's see how high I can build you $20. What question category did you select?
Latin songs.
Latin songs. Here's your first question. You have $20. How much are you going to try?
10.
Jerry Fielding will supply the music. You name the song. Okay, Jerry.
Amapola.
Amapola is right.
And they're off to a good start with $30.
Remember, you're going for $1,000 tonight. Now you have $30. How much are you going to try?
$30.
You're going to try? Here we go. Give me the title of this Latin melody. What do you say? Take a stab at it.
Star Eyes, isn't it?
No, I'm sorry. You were close. It's Green Eyes. I'll give you one last chance to get rich. Answer this one, I'll pay you $10. What oceans have the same names as the Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company?
Atlantic and Pacific.
Atlantic and Pacific is right.
And that means the health inspector and the housewife with $5 get the chance of the $1,000 question.
Didn't you bet so much?
And here's the winning couple, Groucho, the housewife and the man from the Department of Public Health.
Are you ready to try for $1,000, eh? Good luck, and I'll give you 15 seconds to decide on a single answer between you, so talk it over thoroughly and no help in the audience, please. I hope you've been reading your newspapers for the past couple of years. Careful now. Who was the Secretary General of the United Nations? Are you ready? What's the answer you two have decided upon?
We've decided upon Trigreave Lee.
Trigreave Lee is absolutely right. That's right. That's right. You win $1,000. You had the right answer, so you win $1,000. What are you going to do with all that money?
I'm going to improve the health of my children. We all need dental work.
What are you going to do with your money, Al?
I think I'll
clean up the city?
No, I'll look at the new car.
Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you, Groucho.
You Bet Your Life is a John Goodell production, transcribed from Hollywood, directed by Bob Dwan and Bernie Smith. Music by Jerry Fielding.
Some of the recording sessions for You Bet Your Life, yes, they were pre-recorded. They were edited, dramatically some cases. Ran as much as an hour for each individual episode. Groucho Marx, You Bet Your Life. This episode, it was originally an ABC show. Then, just at the beginning of the season that this show aired, had moved to CBS. And then, after spending one season on CBS, moved to NBC, where it remained for the next 10 years. It was also on NBC television for 11 years, and went into syndication with hosts Buddy Hackett and Bill Cosby, and currently Jay Leno. But boy, there's none better than Groucho. You Bet Your Life, as it was originally broadcast November 8th, 1949, 74 years ago. Alrighty, thank you for tuning in to this podcast of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Crime tomorrow, including Dragnet, Mr. Keen, Tracer of Lost Persons, Rocky Fortunes starring Frank Sinatra, and Frank Lovejoy in an episode of Suspense, The Frightened City. Thanks for joining me for the Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox podcast. We will see you mañana.